Hello everybody, I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. So I'm going to jump on a thread for my buddy Brian over at braintwang. That is the name of his channel. If you haven't checked it out, by all means, please go check out his channel. He's got a great channel going over there. And he has 4 contests that he's doing every Sunday for 4 weeks in a row. This is his last one was week 3. And what his contest is he would like you to name an album, a book, a region, an artist, maybe even a movie or whatever, that was a game changer in some way. He can describe it better. By all means, go check out his channel and listen to his in-depth analysis of what he is looking for. But this is how I am describing it and going forward with it. So anyway, what I chose was a album, band. Actually, I took their first 2. And I went with Van Halen. Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2. Not that not all of them were, but these 2 specifically I am picking because I feel like these were definitely game changers, especially the first one. And not just because of Eddie's guitar playing, which we all know that was groundbreaking, and that was definitely a game changer. I mean, you know, nobody was doing a bunch of solos like that until after Eddie did. And after a couple of years, all of a sudden, all these bands started coming up, right? When we think of all those 80s bands, look how their solos had to be like Eddie's, right? You had guitarists popping up left and right, trying to sound like that. A lot of times, unfortunately, it got to a point where the songs themselves weren't that important. It was just a build-up to get ready for the guitar solo. You know, none of them were Eddie. There were some really great guitar players during that time period, for sure. But it wasn't just the guitar playing, it was the band themselves, especially the combination of Eddie and David Lee Roth. One of the things about David Lee Roth is, yes, you know, people always want to get in a whole argument of him and Sammy Hagar and blah blah blah, and Sammy's a better singer. All right, whatever. David Lee Roth, though, was also a trendsetter. Between him and Eddie, you know, David had this whole persona that he used to where, you know, hey, he was the crazy fun-loving party guy who got all the women and, you know, did all the drugs and, you know, whatever, was just this funny guy, right? I mean, he had a great sense of humor too. He was funny. He was a great frontman for this band. You had this kick-ass band that also had a sense of humor about it. And they always had that in concert, and they added it to their albums too. You know, even the first album, right? It has Ice Cream Man on there, which is, you know, it's kind of funny in a way. But yet then they had, you know, really cool stuff, you know, Running with the Devil, Atomic Punks, all kinds of stuff on there, you know. And they had those big choruses too that they would sing with, you know, Michael Anthony in the background, you know, pumping up those choruses. So they had the big choruses to go with it. And that became, you know, the trend in the 80s. All those bands in the 80s started to use that blueprint that Van Halen did on those first 2 albums and stretch it, you know, throughout the 80s. I mean, you know, think of the different frontmen, you know, whether it's Bret Michaels, whoever, and they were basically taking pages out of David Lee Roth's book, right? And the guitar player in the band was taking pages out of Eddie Van Halen's book. And it wasn't just the bands, the newer bands that came right after Van Halen, you know, in the wake of it. There was some veteran bands too that started to kind of do, you know, take a page out of the Van Halen book. Look at Paul Stanley in Kiss. Think how he was throughout the 70s, how he talked to the crowd and everything, and then kind of think of how they shifted, Kiss shifted, and how Paul Stanley kind of, you know, became a little more David Lee Roth-like. He started cussing a lot more on stage, and, you know, kind of started to, you know, the whole thing where, oh, yeah, you know, wow, yeah, I'm a party guy stuff, and we know he wasn't, right? He kind of even took that persona a little bit. So that kind of lasted throughout the 80s until it became this watered down joke. And, you know, the whole hair metal type thing just went to an extreme of these bands trying to take a page out of Van Halen's book, but yet they lost the hard edge and the kick-ass part that Van Halen had. Yeah, David Lee Roth was a goofball, but yet, man, he could sing some pretty cool lyrics and sound pretty badass on those albums. And that's something that got lost, that got watered down along the way until eventually it became a joke. And then that's when, you know, grunge kind of came in. Eventually people got tired of that and they wanted to go back to have a little bit more fun. Anyway, so those are my picks, Van Halen 1 and 2. And I picked 2 to go along with 1 because I think 2 also helps cement the whole party image also to go along with it. That one did, and I think these 2 albums definitely were the blueprint for all these other bands. They changed the scene to where everybody wanted to be like Van Halen. Nobody was, but they all wanted to try it. So anyway, that's my entry for Brian over at braintwang. By all means, go check out his channel and leave your comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. And I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll. We're on Twitter and Facebook always. Until next time, I will see you down the road.